4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everybody, to The Solution, a real estate podcast where we talk about putting the consumer first. It is time. We got to change the swell around the country. My co-host, Jeff Seabach, in the mix. Phil Sexton. We're on episode number 50. 50, the big 50. It's almost like we need to have an over-the-hill birthday party celebration, but maybe we'll do that for 75. We'll do that in a couple weeks. But today we are very excited because we've got a guest that's next level, Seabach.
I am just floored that she decided to join us. Like, how are we so close to have her?
Well, I don't know. I think just because we asked, or maybe because Dr. Lawrence Yoon put in a good word for us.
Oh, well,
I think that's
whatever it was. Good
let's
job for whatever. However we made this happen.
Let's bring on Jessica. Everybody, let's help welcome her to the podcast. Jessica Lautz, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm psyched. This is awesome.
Yeah, so I got a couple of data points that I'd like to share with the listeners just so that they understand
how big of a deal you are.
The caliber of guests that we're able to get on the show to talk to us about the consumer trends in today's market. So you are the Director of Demographics and Behavioral Insights at the National Association of Realtors.
Yes.
And you did you start at this position?
I did not. No. I've moved around a little bit in the research group, so I've been able to, grow a little.
You started at NAR in 2007.
Yes.
You've since worked your way into this position. I mean, that's like a big, long title that I actually don't know what that entails. Except what I do know is that you publish and you write the annual studies that NAR produces, such as the member profile. The one that we're excited to talk about today is the profile of home buyers and sellers. And you also do the commercial member profile.
Wow.
So I don't know if you know this, Jeff, but we're talking to a future doctor.
What?
She is currently to get her doctorate of real estate from Nottingham Trent University. And her thesis is the dream still alive?
Wow.
Tracking home ownership amid changing economic and demographic conditions.
Wow, so that's going to lead to
her a round of applause. Good job. Thank you for coming aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I really love real estate.
You should come on. There you go, buddy.
I really love real estate a lot. So I have a few, even though we didn't prep you with these questions, just because.
You're going off the cuff?
No, well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the report, and I pay attention to several trends that have come out of that report in deciding for us to shift our business as we have moved more towards in the new world of selling real estate, where consumers have so much more information and how that's changing their buying behavior. So, I mean, I use a stat, and I want to know if it's true. And I'm going to go to a specific stat, but if you help put that together.
Jessica, I'm going to help actually get you some talking time today. I want to promise you that.
No, this is great.
I'm just like so excited. Like I'm bursting from the seams. So I use a stat to say that 70% of consumers drive by a house. Is that a stat that you're familiar with?
Yeah, so those who are searching online are absolutely looking in the neighborhoods. They're asking agents for more information for what they're searching for online. So nearly every type of buyer today, regardless of their age, starts their process online. So they're looking for homes. They're looking for things completely out of the price range, just looking at beautiful homes and their photos. But also our first-time home buyers are looking for information about the home buying process too. So it's the whole gamut of what you're doing online, whether it's in Starbucks or whether you're showing mom and dad what you can't afford. But everyone's looking online. And then they get off of line and they get in their car and they drive around, or they walk around their neighborhood and see what they can actually afford.
Is the number as high as 70%?
I do not know that number off the top of my head. Thanks for pulling one number I don't know.
Okay, good deal.
Of course he did. He just asks the tough questions. You know what, Jessica? You know what your answer is when you don't know the number? You just say, you know what, Jeff, you're going to have to read the report.
You have to open 150 pages and read it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was just what we see a lot. Well, I mean, we see it to be true just so much where now the agents have a challenge because they used to have to come to us. And I just wanted to see how much you see that in your report, as well as I feel like the consumer's driving the bus now.
They are. I mean, consumers have all of this information in their fingertips. You literally can take the homes. You can text your agent once you have one, the information, the homes that you want to view. The big thing is, though, is that buyers don't know all the information, especially repeat buyers are coming back to the market after 9 years after living in their home. This is a brand new process. This is not the same experience. So first-time home buyers are brand new to the process. They don't know anything. They're going to rely on their agent to actually tell them about the buying process. But your repeat buyers in the market, they really are brand new. They don't remember everything they went through, and the buying process today is completely different than 9 years ago.
So different, right? Wow. So,
awesome.
How much have you changed the questions that you ask to, like, are you seeing, we're seeing a massive shift in the control, but is it changing? Only because now you talk about doing this for 10 years. So now I have new question. Yeah, but she's been doing it for 10 years. But I mean, from the time that you started.
Yeah, every year we revisit the survey. We try and make sure every year that we revisit the survey, that we ask the right questions for today's home buyers. So in the last 5 years, one of the new ones is, do you have student loan debt as a home buyer? And we're actually asking about the debt load of different types of debt. So student loan debt is number one, credit card debt, auto loans. How is that impacting you getting into the home buying market? And we try and revisit these every year. So we added on healthcare costs, of course, childcare costs, growing issue in the US. So we're trying to make sure that we are in touch with today's home buyers, but also making sure that we're in touch with the challenges that they face getting into the market. We do another survey on a monthly basis, and we actually ask all US households, so renters, non-owners, those who are living with mom and dad. It's a phone survey. And we also ask homeowners, and we ask them different questions every single month because we want to make sure we're keeping a pulse on what the struggles are. Is homeownership valuable? Do you feel it's part of the American dream? Those things don't change. But things that we do see changes on are what the biggest struggles getting into homeownership are, and how they feel homeownership is changing for them. So that's like a really interesting one where we can pivot really quickly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have so many questions. So
I just want to ask her. I want to ask her about what she just said. I mean, so what is it when people are coming back? What changed? How do they look at homeownership now, and how did that compare with yesterday?
So what we see as far as the American dream, and you want to own a home in the future, those two numbers are the most flat and the most boring numbers I would say that we have in the data world, because people do want home ownership. They do feel it's part of their American dream. But the reasons why they can't get there today are different than they have been historically. The reasons why are rising rental costs. Their wages are not keeping pace. You see student loan debt come number two. As an issue. And so you see who's entering the home buying market shift as well. So the home buyers today who are first-time home buyers, they're wealthier. They have higher household incomes. They are more likely to have parental help. So we started changing up those questions too. How do you have parental help? Is it just down payments, or are you moving from your parents' home without paying rent into home ownership as a way to really enter the home buying market? And we're seeing that shift as well.
So the number that I thought I saw last was 64.5 or 64.8% was the amount of people that own a home.
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because you're so precise. That's amazing.
Oh, well,
but is it accurate?
Yes.
The homeownership rate in the U.S. Yes, so we're looking in the mid to low 60s, depending on what quarter you're looking at. Now that's not the peak.
I'm just teasing.
The peak was at 69%, so we're nowhere near that 69%. In recent quarters, we have been ticking up.
What year was that?
Oh my goodness, this is worse than my dissertation defense.
You don't have to, if you're not sure, that's
Read the
fine.
report,
I
Jeff.
just want to know in general, was it back in 05 or was it?
No, it was later than 05. I think we're looking at 2009 was the highest homeownership rate in America that we had seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, only because I had a specific question in regard to that idea is that we see the trend actually from your report is where I pulled it. So I mean, I'm sorry, I know I'm picking out this hair off your head and this hair off your head, and like, well, tell me about why is it this long? But we're seeing people be in homes longer. Right?
Yes.
The economic downturn. Have you started to see a shift in that? Because what we see is, I called the category people being frozen.
Yes.
Because they can't do anything until their house is worth. They're not underwater.
Right.
But because their frozen cube stays above water, but it's still they can't move.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I think the ice floats in the water. I'm not sure. Okay.
That's why it's not underwater. It's frozen.
Okay.
Like it's not. They're just hanging out. But this category of because we. Well, no, but I'm wrapping this in the demand question.
I gotcha. Yeah, I see where you're going here.
I mean,
yes.
In Phoenix, be hundreds of thousands of people that are still frozen from the price that they had it. So we're seeing that curb the amount of that. I think that's the number one reason why their supply is down. What do you think of that?
So we did see the typical tenure that you would want and that we have seen historically is 6 to 7 years that someone would stay in their home before they had a life event, before that caused them to actually move. So whether that's a new job or a new baby or a marriage, divorce, so on. You have something in your life that happens and it causes you to move. Today, we've seen that tenure in home rise to a peak of 10 years. This last report, we saw it go down to 9. So we are seeing some small shifts there. That being said, we've seen it bounce around 9 and 10 for the last few years. So is that a trend? We don't really know.
That was and you even had the 2009 answer. You accused me of being a little hard on you, but you knew the answer.
We're still not seeing now. There are some markets though that are starting to see inventory, but the inventory where we really want it is at that entry level price point. So for those first time home buyers who are suppressed, or potentially people who want to downsize, we're not seeing that as a huge trend anymore. And that's likely because those smaller, more affordable condos aren't available in the market.
Cool. All right.
We see downsizers in our market.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You are seeing them now?
Yeah. We had been seeing them, but with you seeing them, obviously I'm going to pay more attention to whether that's becoming more popular or less popular, right?
I mean, to me, downsizing has become more popular because what we've seen based upon the last stat you said that I read in your report last year that because the people, this is just a summation of it, but because the people have lived in their house longer, meaning almost 10 years, they're predicting that they're going to be in their next home longer.
Yes.
That they're choosing to release themselves from the burden of a bigger house, which I didn't see 10 years ago. Like they're selling quicker. I don't know if that shows up, how it shows up in your report, but they're choosing to downsize. And then they all want one level, no steps, right? Because they feel like they're going to be in it for the next 15 years. And because they're living longer, I don't know if you do any stats on living longer.
Yeah.
They're more fearful that they're going to be in bad health or something. But we see that show up in their buying patterns or wishes, at least. Totally.
That absolutely makes sense. So what I think, so many numbers here. Okay. So the median age of a repeat buyer in the market back in the 1980s used to be in their 30s. And today it's in their mid 50s. So that's a huge shift in your repeat buyer. How old they are.
I would say that what I said is true. Because
whatever number you would have said that.
So go on.
Yeah, continue. More about
Okay, so more things that you're true on. So that buyer in their mid 50s, that repeat buyer, they're planning on keeping that home for 15 years. But when you cut that by generations, some generations are actually planning on keeping that for 20 years, they're saying they're never moving. This is their forever home. They're planning on aging in place once they purchase that home.
A lot.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's definitely a shift from someone who's in their 30s. They're not planning on living there for 20 years. They're planning on living there for 5 to 10 years. So that is a huge change in the market. And that 50-something-year-old, they're very likely purchasing a multi-generational home for aging parents living there, for adult children living there, for children under the age of 18 living there. So they're taking care of a lot of family members in that home, and that home has to fit their needs. Are you guys seeing that there in your local market?
Yes.
Multi-generational homes?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I phrase it differently. I say that there's more boomerang children and boomerang parents that are to make buying decisions to support lots of people. But I mean, it seems like the baby boomer, I don't know if it's their wealth level is the highest of the family, and that therefore it has lots of people still relying on that person controlling the family. Yeah. Yeah.
So really interestingly, definitely a younger boomer issue, right? But this last year, we saw it as a Gen Xer issue too. We thought maybe that was just that particular generation, younger boomers, sandwich generation, they're taking care of everyone. But we're starting to see a growth in Gen Xers who actually are buying multi-generational homes too. Gen Xers are hitting their 50s, and they're also that peak earning years. So they're actually starting to take care of other generations as well.
Yeah.
Oh, no, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I think that, well,
my mother-in-law lives with us, and she helps take care of my 3 kids, which is a wonderful
Wow. That's amazing.
Good job. I love you.
So, all right, because you piqued my interest now, because that was a huge shift that, I mean, to me is spot on. I mean, obviously, it's nice to know that I see it and you see it, and it's like, you know, that means your data's so freaking good. But
he's critical.
What? Yeah, no, I'm usually not this nice. The what other stats that you got that you saw such a major swing? Because from 30 to 50s is massive. Like that,
absolutely.
Like a whole movement, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think that's a huge demographic shift, right, in that age. One of the things that I think is really fascinating, we added this chart this year, is looking at, we hear so much about millennials, they're not getting married, they're not having babies with 2 legs. And so we cut the data all the way back to the 80s, and we saw that, more than 50% of people back in the 80s did have children under the age of 18 living in their home. And today it's about a third. So that is a massive drop in families who have children under the age of 18.
You know the data really well, and that moved quicker. So
yeah, say that again. Slow it down a little bit.
Yeah,
we're here with you now.
Back in the 1980s,
people today have less kids or more kids. Yeah,
they have less kids. There's less children in homes. The birth rate in the U.S. has dropped to a 30-year low. But what we're seeing on the home buying side is it's matching it. So people are not having their buying decisions dictated by children under the age of 18. They may not have children at all, may choose not to have children. And they're purchasing a home for themselves. They don't necessarily need to be within a specific school district. They instead want to be close to a dog park. They want to be close to a walkable community.
Is it because they're buying a VRBO property and they don't care?
No. Our studio audience lives 100 yards from a dog park, right? I think you're hitting the nail on the head here. We've got your 4-legged child. I like that you specified 2 legs versus 4. The 4-legged children are now taking more precedent in the home decision and where you live.
For some buyers, that is the most important for them. So for unmarried couples, 1 in 5 of them said my neighborhood preference is driven by my proximity to the vet and to a green space for my dog. That is a huge shift in home buyers today. So millennials get a bad rap about not having kids, but their buying preferences are still driven by something outside of them. Their own selfishness to their coffee shop is driven to buy their pet.
Wow. Thank you for bringing the vibrance that you have. We've enjoyed it. All right. So we have this thing called putting the consumer first in real estate. And actually why he brought up Zillow is we see corporations leading the realtor population in being more consumer oriented, meaning when we hear word from Open Door, because they're listening to the consumer. Like you're doing the study, but and you're doing it for the agents, but I don't know that the agents are responding to, the consumer as much as we hear them speaking out through your report. So
the questions that we typically ask our guests are geared towards them who are working with consumers. But I think that we actually kind of shifted the questions for you, because instead of asking you the 3 things that we think the consumers are asking for, I'd like to instead ask you, what are the consumers asking for?
So what are the 3 most important things that you see home buyers asking for today?
So the number one thing, and this is actually grown in importance with tight inventory, the number one thing is just finding the right home. More than half of buyers are saying, what I want from the agent is just to find the right home. And it used to be helping negotiate contract terms, and they were closer in range. That those would be understanding the process, especially for first-time home buyers, just find the home. And that's so important for all home buyers. It doesn't matter how you cut that data. It's the number one priority. And I would say in the last 3 years, that's been the most important. And the biggest struggle in the home search process is finding that right home.
My assumption is that whenever the inventory drops to the levels like it is now, that one grows in popularity. Is that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say that.
That's frustrating, right? Like that's the frustration that people can't find that house. And so they're eager to tell you on a report that that's the reason, that's what's wrong right now. My agent couldn't find me the house.
So what suggestions do you make then for agents that are choosing to let the consumer find the home on their own?
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's what we see in the data too, is that people are finding their home online, right? It's the number one thing. You're constantly searching. But what the consumers who just bought a home, what they say that they want from their agent is, tell me exactly when a home is listed. Tell me when something goes under contract. Give me real-time updates as fast as you can. Make sure that I'm on those email lists. Make sure you're sending me the text messages so that I can get that information as quickly as possible. And that's what we're hearing from consumers, just as fast as possible. Can you send me that information?
Right. No,
I love that. That changes. Like, I just looked at Mo while you were talking and I said, we got to make some adjustments, because what you're saying right now is we have based business processes on this report for years. And so now to hear today's version, I think is nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. We're still going to base our business processes based on what the data is showing today. So I'm excited. And actually, just a plug for the report. It comes out this week in Boston, right?
Yeah. So the main report came out on Monday. So it's out. Go and get it.
How do they find it?
There's spinoffs of this report. So we do about 5 different spinoffs, and the newest spinoff will be out on Friday. So we're going to have a bunch of buyer bios, and it's essentially 20 different profiles. So looking in depth at a single female buyer who's 18% of the market. That's huge. And we give you 20 different data points on her and her home buying practice. Looking at unmarried couples, looking at those people who say that pets are number one. And we give you in-depth data. So it's about 400 different data points on all of these biographies of buyers.
Wow.
I think that's sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right? Yeah. So let's see here. The main report was released on Monday. And where do they go to download that main report? Or do you have to buy it?
Realtor. You can grab it on the store. The highlights are there for free. All the information is there. Tons of infographics already posted on the report. If you're at the annual convention, I'm going to be doing a bunch of presentations. So I will be there talking about this.
Awesome.
Do you do a book signing?
Yeah. Yes, I will sign your iPhone because it's only for people.
All right, but Phil usually likes to brush. Yeah, but we're not done with buyer is where I'm at. Like we said one, and you loved her answer so much. You're like, okay, how about seller? Like, what were number two and three? As for the top three,
the process.
What's 2 and 3 for the buyer before we go over to the seller?
Find the house.
Right. So in no particular order, because it's going to change based on a first-time versus repeat buyer. All right. So when you're looking for all buyers, number one, finding the right home, understanding the process for your first-time home buyers. They've never gone through this again, this process. understanding the faults and features in a process. Do not get overwhelmed by the granite and the stainless steel. See if you have a leaky roof. And that's when
faults and features, is that what you said?
Yes, the faults and features of an actual property. So actually understanding, what is this property besides all the shininess that I see right here? Besides and behind that home staging, what's going on in this home? That realtor expert can tell you that no one else can. They're going to bring that expertise. They're going to bring that inspection
That's
in.
actually what they're looking for.
Hey, I love this.
Yeah.
This is great.
This is great.
Yeah.
stuff.
That's number 2.
Top 3, and then helping negotiate that contract. They've never gone through this process. All buyers have confusion on that. So those are the top ones. And when they're looking for an agent, they want your reputation. They want a reputable agent. They want someone who's honest. They want the expertise in the neighborhood. Those are the top sort of behavioral traits that they're looking for.
Yeah, can you talk about that? So number 1 for I guess the top 3 for an agent before we get to the seller was what?
Yep. Honesty and trustworthy, reputation, and just understanding the neighborhood and the real estate process. Those ones all together. They're all together. They're all in the top 90s percentiles for those.
Nice.
It's not surprising. Yeah.
Awesome.
And those traits are the selling side as well. When you go look for an agent, you want someone who's honest, who's trustworthy, who has a good reputation. You want them to be an expert in their field, and you want them to be an expert in that neighborhood.
Do consumers say that realtors puff a lot?
I didn't collect a data point on that one.
You didn't? I thought you were talking about, there were some interesting data points. Maybe I misunderstood that conversation earlier.
Well, I mean, we work in a very competitive marketplace, and you said I want to be an expert. And when I compete a lot, that I hear that they said they're interviewing the three top number 1 teams in the Valley. How can that be? And then the guy that lists their house is not one of those that I am familiar with. So I don't know.
Okay.
On that?
Tough.
Sorry, I just.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going with that.
No, because I feel that putting the consumer first is a part of it is being honest with what you really are based upon your experience. And we try and push people for more reviews to demonstrate.
But I think another thing I learned from this interview is that we need to get more reviews on Realtor.com because we don't have enough reviews. Oh my gosh, it's morning.
Okay?
Are you all right? Is the lamp falling?
Just in a hotel room. It was just the light. It's good. I'll fix it later.
Okay.
Okay. So in wrapping up,
wrapping up sellers.
Okay. Sellers. Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah. So sellers. Okay. So these are the top 4 things. They shift, but the top 4. I'm getting weird feedback here.
Yeah.
Okay. Selling your home within that time frame that you actually want to sell it in. So within that short time frame, especially when you talk about those sellers who have been holding onto that property for an extended period of time, when they finally can sell and they want to sell, they want to do it within a specific time frame. Especially timing that to school districts or the new job or something that they really want to do. Actually, pricing that home competitively, very difficult in this market with home prices shifting. Marketing that home. When you look at FSBOs, they don't know how to market their home. They're not marketing their home for the most part. So actually marketing their home and then finding that qualified buyer for their home. Those are the top 4 things.
Wow.
4? Did I miss one?
Yep.
Which one did I? Wait a minute. Can you say the 4 one more time?
Selling within a specific time frame, pricing the home competitively, finding a qualified buyer, and
marketing.
Yes, and marketing that home. And they all switch, but I would say that they have been close to 20% in recent years. But one of those is trailing around 14% right now. So what I'm looking at really is the drop in the homeownership rate for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and those under the age of 35, and how it hasn't rebounded since the recession. So we know that those populations want to own homes. We know through the profile of home buyers and sellers that they're getting into homeownership if they can, if they have higher incomes, if they have parental help. But we know that those 3 populations are having a hard time entering today.
And what's your favorite stat that of all the 200 reports that you do and all the 5 million data points, what's the favorite thing that you track?
All right. So the favorite thing of late has been the animal numbers. I have 2 cats. I had a dog. She passed away. But I really had my own home buying decisions. Really, my pets factored in. And we're seeing that. The other thing that I'm really loving that I'm working on right now is on Friday, we're going to release a report called Real Estate and Marijuana, a Budding Issue. Fun.
Clever.
Okay. All right. So we're looking at the commercial and residential impact of marijuana and looking at the states and actually seeing in states where it's legal for prescription use only and then recreational and prescription, how much are our members actually being impacted by this? Are they leasing? Do they have addendums? What's happening there? So that's been a fun report to work on.
So that's as far as the member profile report as opposed to the home buyer and seller report.
So it's not the member profile itself, but it is a survey of members.
Of members, gotcha.
Yeah.
And what is the average age of realtors these days?
So it's been tracking down. It's still in the mid 50s. We did see it peak around 58, but in the last few years, it's been tracking down. I think we're at about 54 right now. There's a lot of new members who are entering the business. We're actually seeing a growth in younger members.
Right.
It's still not a lot of younger members out there, but we are seeing younger members enter.
Okay, I got a question.
Good.
So, are you seeing, if you're querying members, more agents be a part of a corporation versus
the W-2 versus the 1099?
Yes.
The
Is that a trend that you
contractor
track?
agents.
So yeah, that's a great question. I don't think those shares are actually changing in recent years. I think that we're still seeing that most people are contractors. Now, we did just release a report on real estate teams. That's obviously a growing issue. And people are working on real estate teams. They're embracing that model. But I don't know, as far as contractor versus employee, if I looked at those numbers, if there's been any change in that.
Yeah, so when you see a big shift in it, so I don't know if it's something that we can get you to track, but not that you have to, but I just think that Redfin has employees and Open Door has employees.
Absolutely.
And, I wonder how many agents that Zillow employs. And, we have employees on our teams that are agents as well.
I thought it was fascinating that when she talked about real estate teams, she said the real estate teams issue.
I mean hot topic. I don't mean issue.
Oh, okay. Hot topic. Gotcha. Hot topic.
I thought,
I think we actually got a hot topic report. So
do you know what percentage of
business is done by teams
or members is by teams?
okay, so it's more than a quarter for teams of agents are a member of a team. I don't know the exact number, but I know there's more than a quarter. So we have seen growth in that.
Okay. Does it continue to is it still heading upwards, like that number?
So we've only done one in-depth report on real estate teams. As far as collecting that data point on other reports, though, we have collected one-off data points. It's different populations, so it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. We're hearing it anecdotally from our members, though, that it's increasing. So that's why we wanted to do the report on it.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is we went to Zillow, and it seems like the industry's almost favoring. I'm sorry, the consumers are wanting what they called a corporate-like response rather than a personal response. I mean, like an individual, that their demand for data is so, I don't know, acute. I don't know if that's the right word, but they want it so fast that individuals, it's hard to live your life when you're held to that standard all the time. You get jittery, even
when we're on a podcast.
Right.
Yes,
even when we're talking. Wait, was that a lead? Oh,
all right. Well, how many times do you usually go to NAR's conference?
So I'm an NAR employee, so I usually go to every year.
Every year, a couple times a year.
Well, I didn't know. I mean, we went to Zillow, and all the Zillow employees weren't there. So
That's true.
I don't know. I mean, it's just. I mean, you're a higher up. You're presenting, of course.
Good luck on the presentations.
Yeah,
by
good
the way.
luck. What's your
Thank
title of your presentation?
The favorite one.
The favorite one.
Oh, my favorite one is High Times in Real Estate. That's on the marijuana report.
I'm starting to get a sense of who you are as a person here, Jessica. And
where do you live?
Yeah, DC.
Is it legal in DC? Right?
Is that affecting your buying?
Yeah.
Well, before you answer that and incriminate anything,
It was
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You certainly did not disappoint in any way. You were spectacular.
Oh,
I loved
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
maybe we can have you back on once you're Dr. Jessica.
Oh,
Oh, yes,
thank you.
doctor.
Yes. All right. Good luck.
All right.
Thank you. again
Hey,
for your
happy
time.
Wednesday. Thanks for your time. We really appreciate it.